Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Planes, Trains, and Comic Books channel. My name's Matt, and today we're going to review the manga Golden Kamuy Volume 1. And before we get into that, if you guys wouldn't mind sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff, it really helps me out and it lets me know what you guys want to see more of. So with that being said, let's get straight into it. All right, so the Golden Kamuy Volume 1 is we'll call it like a historical action manga, something like that. Basically, I heard about this. It just looked interesting because it takes place around the time of the Russo-Japanese War, which is something that it's not a war that we really learn about too much in America, but I happen to learn about it because in college I was very interested in Russian history. So that was a very interesting war to learn about. And so it was very cool to see a manga that kind of took that time period. Oh, I should say before we get too involved in the story, this manga, I guess, was made in 2014 by Satoru Noda, who does the art and the writing as well. And I don't think it's done yet. I think it's in something like 21 or 25 volumes or something like that. But I believe it's supposed to have an ending coming up soon, from what I read. So this is still ongoing, but this is volume 1. Like I said, I just checked it out because the historical part of it sounded cool. But then it turns out to be kind of like an adventure action thing as well. So we start off in 1904 with our main character, who's named Saichi Sugimoto, and he is fighting the Russians. He does so well in this battle, and I guess his whole time in this unit, that he ends up being called the Immortal Sugimoto. The first fight we see, he gets like shot through the neck, but like every time he gets hurt, it's like it should be a fatal wound, but it's not. So he's got all these scars and everything all over his body where, like, if anyone else got stabbed there, it would have nicked an artery or hit a major organ or something. But for some reason with him, it doesn't do that. I think it's just more like luck and whatnot. And but we see his fighting style, because he kind of just goes into like a crazy rage of like willpower and just takes on all these different Russian soldiers and goes ham on him. He goes crazy, starts killing them. And this book is also, it's like mature rated because it's got a lot of violence and stuff. This volume didn't have too much, but I guess it must get a little bit more violent because it is rated like 17 plus, I think. So, but there are a couple shots in this that are pretty graphic of him stabbing people through the eyes and people getting blown up or friends getting blown up in war and stuff. So a lot of war violence at the beginning. And he's like a skilled fighter, but not like I trained kind of thing. It's more like luck and just rage. Like he went and getting being able to use things right when he needs them to be like. So he'll go crazy and run into a line of people, and he'll stab one, lose his gun, but be able to pick up a rock, or you'll be able to grab the other guy's knife and ends up stabbing the next person with that, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of like he's skilled, obviously, because he can think on his feet like that, but it's not like something you learn or whatever. So but after the war, he's looking for money because he's trying to get enough money to go back to his like hometown where he came from, because he left a girl that he loved because he doesn't have anything to like offer her, he thinks. And so he's like, I got to get enough money for that. And then also, I think he promised one of his friends who died in the war that he would like take care of his wife's eye surgery or something, because like they were talking about it right before a big battle. It was kind of like Forrest Gump or something, where they're talking about we're gonna be best friends forever or whatever. And then and then all of a sudden the war happens and they're fighting, and then this dude's blown up and he's like, take care of my wife's eyes because she needs eye surgery, and he's like, I will, or something. So he's got all these kind of debts that he's trying to get money for. So he's got a goal, basically, just get money. And he hears about from this friend who got blown up, and he's like, hey, after the war, we should go to Hokkaido, which is like a big island on the north side of Japan, close to Russia. And there's supposed to be gold in the rivers there. Like there's a gold boom. So we go there, get a bunch of gold that people left and haven't picked up yet. It's going to be awesome. So that's where we kind of start off after the initial war shot of how, or the war scene of how he became the immortal Sugimoto. But so now we're in, I don't know, a couple years later. It doesn't give us a time period right afterwards. We started in 1904. We might be like 1906 or something now. And but we're in Hokkaido, and now Sugimoto is panning for gold in rivers. and he's got a friend with him. I don't think they give his friend's name, but it's just this guy who's kind of like drinking on the side of the stream with him. He's not working, but he's like drinking, just talking to his buddy Sugimoto, who is panning for gold, and he's getting nothing. There's no gold left in these rivers. Apparently, his friend who died in the war was wrong about how much gold is there, but he's persistent. He tells the guy like, "Look, I need money. Like, there's got to be gold somewhere here." And then his friend's like, "Well, even if not, you can always hunt and get furs and sell those." So he's like, "Okay, yeah, I could maybe do that." And then his friend gets a little too drunk and is like, "Hey, there used to be a bunch of gold here, but basically the indigenous people that lived here they were fighting off the Japanese. Their name was the Ainu. And I guess they were like indigenous to that one island of Hokkaido. So they were saving up a bunch of money or a bunch of gold, and they got betrayed by a Japanese person who found out about it. And he killed all these Ainu people, indigenous people, and stole the gold and hid it. The Japanese government found out that he hid it, and so they captured him, trying to find out where this gold was. They kept him in prison for a long time, trying to like torture the location out of him, but he wouldn't talk. And he also was under such heavy guard that he couldn't like sneak it out. Like he couldn't tell another prisoner because they would try to torture them before they left as well. And he couldn't he couldn't like sneak notes out or mail or anything because they would just read it all. So what he ends up doing is this prisoner ends up tattooing all his fellow prisoners that are with him in his cell block, and he tattoos them on them a code that is a design of that's like a map of where the gold is, and you need all the people all together to read the like where the gold is, kind of thing. And so this guy, he's drunk, he's telling his friend this, and then his friend wakes up in a drunken stupor in the morning. And he's like, "Oh shit, like I told him about the gold, didn't he?" So it turns out this dude wasn't lying about the gold. This is a real story. And so he ends up like trying to kill Sugimoto. He like wakes him up with like his gun ready to shoot him. And like I said, Sugimoto, he always seems to come out on top in this manga. So he is able to fight off the guy, but the guy runs away. And he goes after him because he's like, well, he's going to come try to kill me at night now because I know the secret. But when he goes to try to track that guy down, he finds a bear has killed him. That's when he realizes, for real, this is like a true story, because he thinks, well, maybe that guy wasn't lying because he's so, he's going to kill me over this gold rumor. But then when he finds his friend's body that the bear has like hidden, his friend had all these tattoos all over his body. He's one of the prisoners. He's one of these guys that he was talking about. So he's like, okay, I gotta get this body. And like right now it's buried under a bear's like meat pile that he's saving for later. He's buried it in the ground. And so he's trying to get away from there before the bear comes back with the body. And all of a sudden the bear tries to attack him. He's actually saved by an Ainu girl, like one of the local indigenous girls. Her name is Asirpa. So she saves him from the bear. And she's like, yeah, this isn't the bear that killed your friend, but that other bear is going to be back soon. We have to get out of here. And she's like, just leave that body. And he's like, no, we can't. And she's like, why? And he tells her the story that his friend told him. And she's like, okay, bring him along. He's like, really? And she's like, yeah, I believe you, because my dad was one of those indigenous people that got killed for that gold. So I want revenge. I'm going to travel with you until we meet the guy who did it. So that's kind of like the kickoff of this book. It turned in from like a historical war book to a gold hunting Indiana Jones book or something. So I'm pretty interested to see where it goes from there. After this part of the book, like it goes further. Basically, it turns into them trying to find the other prisoners who have tattoos. So it seems like the book's kind of going to maybe escalate the skills of each person that they have to track down, and until they get to the big boss guy, and then also just kind of have an adventure with this indigenous girl and Sugimoto until they find the gold, or they find whatever they're looking for, or they just become great friends or whatever. So it seems like a really fun book, and I'm definitely going to check out the rest of these. It was a really fun read, and there's like humor in it. There is like super violence and gore and stuff, as I told you earlier with the war stuff. And right now they just kind of leave it with this, this premise of we must find the gold by finding all these people with the map. So once they find all the people with maps on their bodies, they can like draw the maps and then put it together and then find the gold. So that's their goal, and that is basically the summary of this first volume. With that being said, I would give this one a 4 out of 5. The art was fantastic, and the story, while I thought at first it was just going to be about kind of war, it ends up being like this cool little treasure adventure, kind of like Goonies or something, but with like extreme gore and violence. So it's pretty cool. Definitely check this one out if you are at all interested in kind of this historical area too. I like they go out of their way to like tell you little facts about the world at this time, like true facts, I'm assuming, because if they have something that's like say the indigenous girl builds a hut, they'll tell you the name of the hut like on the side and be like, this was what they used for like 4 people and they slept outside and it was made of these branches and stuff. So they go out of their way to really fill you in on the historical stuff, like on the side margins, if you wanted to know about any of that. And so I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't even know there was like an indigenous group of people on this island of Japan that were like displaced and aren't even really around anymore because they were kind of just now part of Japan. I kind of want them to go a little bit more into the Japanese-Russo war or just their relationship with Russia, because that might be kind of cool. But it may not. It just where it started was in that section, and that's kind of what got me interested in it. So with that being said, we'll see you guys on the next one.